So another tool we can look at here is actually one in which we're taking a look at both the layer 3-4 traffic. So we've installed the Weave container network interface. But Weave has brought together both the container network interface information, the telemetry information for our layer 3 routing between our pods, but also added in our Istio telemetry. So we can read all of that. Since we output our telemetry to a mixer, anyone can attach to that mixer and pull out the topology information. So this is just another tool we use to make sure we understand our traffic flows. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is go in and look at the units we have in a table format here. So what we see is we have our various pods. The blue pods are our Istio system namespace. Our default namespace is our application running here in the yellow. We also have the Weave here, which is application in the purple namespace. We have our networking and our proxy down here in the green, along with our DNS, which is our networking namespace. So the neat thing about this is you can see how long the pods have been around and what system, what namespace system they're in, how many replicas we're supposed to have, what our strategy is. But we can actually go in and start pulling out information here of the various things, what their CPU load is, and memory load. So we're actually tying together not only the telemetry information about our systems and how our traffic's running, but we can also pull the statistics out of the system and see what some of the load is. So that's nice. We can actually go into any individual node. So here's our Prometheus server, which runs underneath our Grafana, which is the front end to Prometheus. And we can see what ports it's running on. We can see what calls it's making to folks. We see how much memory it's using, what its labels are in Kubernetes, right? So we can also look at any individual scope. Now, interesting thing is when we go back to our graph here, we can look at simply those in a simple space. So let's say, for example, let me click on the right one here, that we're really interested in looking at how our traffic's flowing for our product. So we looked at this before using our Istio service graph, and we saw how the traffic was running and how many calls were being made. This is another visualization of it. So our project page has the ability to call the various reviews and ratings components. We're actually calling reviews 3. So let's look at that. We saw it's a part of a deployment. We see which ports it's running on, what outbound calls, in and outbound calls, what pod it's running in, the containers it's using, and the processes running on that container. So we see this is the version 3 of our app. So it gives you the ability to dial in and out various components. Our product page, our main one, we can see it's calling the various components here and where it's running. So again, just a great way to visualize some of these things. We can also look at the CPU and memory capabilities. We can look at just the services instead of the controllers that are running. We can look at DNS names. Here you can see everything and how it's tied to everything else. If you click on one, it centralizes all the calls around it, everything it's connected to inbound and outbound. So again, a very nice tool that allows you to graphically sort of look at how your traffic's flowing, because the more complex systems you get into, the harder it is to understand some of the traffic flows. And the other thing is, as this is all completely automated, Kubernetes may move something around. A system may go down. So you're actually wanting to look at what is my actual right now, and you'll actually see your DAG diagram here change if something gets knocked out or something gets brought back. You'll see some movement in here. You can see that it's moved to a different pod. It may be on a different node. So very interesting to see what's going on. We have a simple master and single node and an internet here, but you could also see if you had multiple nodes here, if one of them went away, all you have to do is click on your host and you'll see what's going on. You can also look at that by table, and of course you can actually see the hosts loading here of, by processes, containers, of what's running on the two nodes in our host table. So a very interesting tool set that you can also apply to Istio to give you real-time visualization into your tools.